do some research into plant-based stocks. Just do a little bit, okay? I'm telling you, this industry is going to boom like you never seen industry boom before.
Hey everyone, welcome to the PlantStock channel. I'm doing one of the walk and talks again. Sorry for looking like a confused Jedi. Weird looking confused Jedi. But yeah, I'm thinking about everything that's going on with our plant stocks, right? And how much they've dropped. And how much worry there is in the market now. With the macroeconomics, with everything that's going on in Ukraine. What's going on with the oil prices. And as we've talked about recently, about the premium prices being an issue maybe in the short term. Meaning that people might not want to focus on buying food that is a bit more of a premium. And what that could mean, you know, like for the paradigm shift of actually eating more plant-based. But again, as I've said so many times before, guys, take a look at where you live. Take a look in the store. I mean, when you go into a store today, wherever you shop, you know, tell me that if you compare it to years ago, that you can see a huge difference when it comes to plant-based food. The alternatives are there in most places. I mean, even in smaller stores today, you usually have a section for plant-based food and dairy alternatives, meat alternatives. I mean, yogurts, creamers, anything. Even chocolates and candies, ice creams. I mean, there's always alternatives. And then you see larger chains and restaurants actually adopting the more plant-based products, right? I mean, take a look at this. We found out yesterday on Instagram from Plant-Based News that Burger King in London, their burger place there, is going to be vegan or plant-based for a whole month. That's telling us something, right? It's telling us something that they actually see where this paradigm is headed. And the same with McDonald's. They're trying to see what they can do with Beyond Meat. 600 places now in the US, 1,300 places in the UK and Ireland. And we're gonna see more in that adoption because these giant chains, same with Starbucks with Oatly and also Beyond Meat there, right? These places know where the money is. And we're gonna see smaller chains too, like that's going to start adopting this. And again, that's because these places, not necessarily that they care about animals or they care about people's health. I mean, come on, talking about Burger King and McDonald's. I don't think that's been their priority over the years to care about people's health or caring about animals, right? But they see where the money is going. So that's something you need to keep in mind, right? That's what I see as positive. Now, sure, I know a lot of you're gonna talk about the price, the comparisons to cheaper alternatives, you know, comparing it to Beyond Meat, comparing it to Oatly, maybe Tattooed Chef as well, and saying that, you know, people are gonna buy that instead. But that truly isn't the case when it comes to branding, right? I mean, look at Coca-Cola and Pepsi. They basically own the soda sector, right? To one way or another. They're cheaper alternatives, but people are going to go with the products that they feel has the best brand, that, you know, they recognize the brand, recognize the flavor, the taste. And same thing with quality, right? And look at the ice cream. Ben & Jerry's, Haagen-Dazs. There's several others obviously out there, but they're not really cheap brands, right? They're quite expensive. Yet people still buy them because they have the quality, they have the branding. What makes you think it's not going to be the same case with Beyond Meat and Oatly? It's going to be exactly the same case in my opinion. So there will always be the cheaper alternatives out there. And that's for people who want to focus on that, right? But even the, you know, cheaper alternatives, they have a place, they have a job to do, because what they do is they get maybe other people then who can't afford, you know, the more expensive things, and they might try those and feel like, interesting, wasn't that half bad? Maybe I should try something that seems to be more popular, like Oatly, like Beyond Meat, like the Chef maybe. And that's what's going to happen. So there's always going to be markets, you know, for cheaper alternatives and for more expensive ones. Obviously, in the long term, in the very long term, if we want mass adoptions of our brands, they're gonna have to lower the price in one way or another, or at the very least create other cheaper alternatives of their brand. Like we know Coca-Cola and PepsiCo, they own other smaller companies, and they get revenues from those companies as well, right? And I can see both Beyond Meat and Oatly doing something like that, buying up smaller companies and then start selling cheaper alternatives. And then when we get to the stock price, when it comes to our companies, I mean, Beyond Meat, Oatly, very good food company, Tattooed Chef, take a look at them. They're much cheaper than they've ever been. And obviously they could become a little bit cheaper. We don't know. The question is, are you going to risk this? Let Jeremy from Financial Education say what he thinks about that. Take a look.
That's what ends up happening. People pass on stocks that are at crazy prices, and they decide, you know what, I'm just not going to invest. And then they just look back a few years later and they're like, why didn't I invest? And then this is exactly what's going to play out right now. The market we're in 2022, people are going to look at these stocks at these crazy low prices, and they're going to say, I'm not going to invest because of this reason and that reason. And they might launch the nukes off. So I'm not going to invest. And inflation's high. They'll make up whatever. That's the thing. They'll make up whatever excuse. In these sorts of markets, you'll talk yourself into a corner, and you'll talk yourself into not buying the stocks. And then you'll look back in many years in the future, and you'll be like, oh, I should have bought the stocks. And it's the same thing that happens every single time, right? I speak about these stocks a lot. I'm just going to say it. Do some research into this industry. Do some research into plant-based stocks. Just do a little bit, okay? I'm telling you, this industry is going to boom like you never seen the industry boom before. And there's going to be a lot of people that aren't taking this serious and are going to regret it massively. And these prices we're seeing for these stocks in 2022, we will not see these prices in the future. And these stocks will go on some of the biggest runs we've ever seen from food-related companies. And it's not going to be all of them, but there will be some winners in this space. And there'll be more companies that will come public, and there'll be ETFs that will be built in this space. And it's one of the hugest changes I've seen. It's the biggest change I've seen since EVs, but this is even bigger. So this is like a multi-decade play, and there's going to be people that just pass on this opportunity, look into these sorts of companies, and there'll be some that take advantage. I think it's worth at least doing a little bit of research.
So you heard what he said, right? I mean, this could be bigger than the EV sector, which is plenty big, right? And it's not so strange. I know a lot of you think that that's insane, right? But again, people, this is what people eat, You eat 3 to 5 times a day, most of us, right? I mean, most people eat a lot. And often. And driving, it's not a necessity, right? For most people. Could be for some. But eating, you have to do that to survive. So obviously, it's going to be really important. And it has to do with people's health, right? Eating healthier alternatives. They're not super healthy, most processed vegan food or plant-based food. But they're statistically, or when you look at the science today, they're healthier, right? Than traditional meat, and definitely traditional dairy. So that's going to have an effect. And when it comes to sustainability, again, has more importance for sustainability than actually cars and the transport sector in total. So that's something you need to really consider, why this is such a big thing. And like he states, right, the price, when you look at it now, in the future, it's not going to look the same. Obviously, it seems self-evident because, it could go down 10-20% and then it won't look the same. But I don't think that's what Jeremy means here, right? Basically, that it's going to be way, way higher. I don't know if you guys know who Joseph Carlson is. He's another famous YouTuber. I have a lot of respect for him as well. And on Twitter, I think it was today or yesterday, I shared it recently on Twitter. He basically said, which makes a lot of sense, right? That if you were buying stocks half a year ago, if you weren't scared then, considering with a lot of the valuations, what they were at then, but you're scared to buy stocks today, you might be doing something wrong when it comes to this investing game, right? Especially if you really want to make money. So obviously this is not financial advice, just some thoughts and ideas, right? All right, guys, that was just some rant from a crazy, weird-looking Jedi wannabe. That was about it for today. Hope you got some value. If you did, smash that like button, and hope you guys have a great weekend. And I'll see you soon. And peace out.